like Martha, I'm also descendant from Mormon pioneers, many of whom came from Wales, many of whom came from England and other parts in Europe, Denmark. I feel lucky to have a shirt that belonged to one of those pioneer ancestors. And it's a green taffeta shirt. It has whalebone stays sewed into it to define it. And then at the collar and the sleeves, it has pink silk that is kind of shredding with time because silk is an incredibly delicate fabric. And then there's black lace over the pink. So it's made entirely by hand. You can see the tiny, perfect stitches. It's just gorgeous and exquisite and so feminine and pretty. But what strikes me the most about this shirt is that beneath the arms, this shirt is permanently stained with sweat marks. And so I think that that item that I have and I treasure, it really embodies the experience to me of the female pioneer. They were trying their best to create items of beauty, but what they were doing it in such grueling and challenging circumstances that their lives required such immense physical labor. And then you add to that the challenges and difficulties of bearing children and the incredible risks that they took in doing so. And I think you start to have a picture of what their lives were like. When they first came here, they were actually leaving the United States behind. I think that's something that we forget sometimes. They were traveling beyond the literal borders of the United States as it was at that time. So they did create an insular society economically, but they also had come from the East, many of them, or from Europe, right? And so even in this frontier, very desolate in some regards, challenging, certainly, circumstances in terms of water, in terms of food sources, it was very challenging for them to make a life here, but they still really admired, and many of them missed, the architecture and the advancements that they'd had in the East and in Europe. And so they sought for ways to develop those industries to bring them here. And I think you can look around the streets of Salt Lake and see the remnants of that, right? The architectural buildings that they built when you see the pictures of them in the early days, it's so ironic. Like, it almost looks like those buildings were picked up from the East and plopped down on a plot of dirt because it doesn't look like they belonged there, because they really hadn't been. So I tried to capture that Salt Lake at the turn of the century, because that was really what stood out to me when I looked at the existing photographs.